The 1990 traffic analysis addendum, which formed the basis for the prohibition of speed bumps in the PUD, stated that studies were mixed on the effectiveness of speed bumps. We have 30 more years of studies to look at, and in general, we find these days that speed bumps and speed humps are effective at reducing speed. A lot of it's in the details of what kind of bumps you're installing, how they're spaced, etc. And there might be other measures that are more effective at reducing speed. Installing removable speed bumps is probably the most cost-effective treatment you could try to reduce speeds here. The 1990 addendum also stated that it said if after the site is constructed and occupied, significant problems develop, more extreme and expensive measures can be taken to restrict through traffic. And now while that pertains to through traffic, I think you may be able to apply the same logic to speed and installing speed bumps in this case. So if speed bumps were installed and they reduce speeds, that will make the road safer for all users. So we feel that this condition is met. The second standard for your consideration is a subset of that site circulation and parking design must be designed to ensure access for emergency vehicles. We spoke to our fire marshal, and in Cascade Township, we generally allow speed bumps, but we want to know what their size and dimensions are, because if they're too tall, those can cause an issue. We also require that there be signs installed that warn people that there are speed bumps ahead, so that you are not caught unawares. So we find that this condition can be met by requiring that the fire marshal review the speed bumps before they are installed. I will point out that in most cases, we don't have any requirement to do such a review. This case is kind of, it may be unique. I don't know of any other planned unit developments that have a prohibition on using speed bumps. So if you were in pretty much any other planned unit development in the township, you wouldn't have to go through any sort of review to install speed bumps. It would just be at your discretion. We received one letter in support of the amendment, and I think it's actually 3 now letters that we've received that voiced some concerns. We've also fielded some inquiries in person and over the phone, mostly from people just looking for more information about the request. Because when we put out these, when we post these public notices, we don't always include a lot of information. It's hard to include a lot of information in those, so I understand when folks are looking for more information. I would be too. Stepping through here, do have some considerations for the Planning Commission tonight. I've changed the wording slightly from what was in the staff memo, but I mean, first and foremost, does the proposed amendment meet the PUD criteria for site circulation? That's pretty straightforward. Number 2 is a little more, I guess, thought-provoking. So we don't prohibit speed bumps on private streets elsewhere in the township, so are there compelling reasons to continue to prohibit them in the watermark PUD where they would be allowed, or where they are allowed in other residential areas? And then finally, just to not put too fine a point on it, but granting this request does not mean that speed bumps will be installed. It would leave that up to the condo association and the members of the condo association to actually make that decision on whether they're installed or not. So with that, I think I'll wrap up my presentation. I recommend approval of this. So in front of you here is a draft recommendation that includes a provision that if they choose, it says if they choose to install speed bumps, that we would want the fire marshal to review and approve the type of speed bumps, their planned locations, and the location and types of signs that indicate that there are going to be speed bumps there. Again, we don't require that elsewhere in the township, but it seems like since we have a shot at it, we might as well do some due diligence and require that.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I have a question for you. Is there anything in the PUD that would prevent stop signs from being installed on private drives?
I saw nothing to that effect, no.
Anybody else have any other questions? Michelle?
You can go ahead.
Yeah, I have a question. On page 3 of the staff report, it talks about the collected wisdom indicates that speed bumps are effective. And you mentioned verbally kind of a summary. I'm wondering if there's a specific that stands out.
I mean, there are a lot of studies out there. Federal Highway Administration has at least one study out there that finds them to be effective. Sorry that I don't have the citation here, but I can get that for you.
And then I had another question with respect to the site circulation. Could you, since we don't have it written, could you please explain which users we're supposed to consider? It's, I think, beyond vehicles, is that correct?
It says safety and convenience for vehicular and pedestrian traffic.
Okay, and what about things like bicycles, skateboards, scooters? That's
I would include that as vehicular.
okay.
Yeah.
And what consideration was given to those
How so?
with respect to how the speed bumps might influence other than vehicle use of the road?
Right. Well, without knowing exactly what types of speed bumps would be installed, I'm not sure how we'd be able to evaluate that. And that's really not the charge that we have before us tonight. It's just whether to strike this language or not. So we're not trying to approve any specific design. Because I imagine you could install speed bumps that don't go the entire width of the road, so it'd be easy to, ride your bike in between, if you have two next to each other, or ride a skateboard in between them. So there's ways to design things so that they're not going to affect people on bikes, people riding skateboards, and emergency vehicles too. If you make them narrow enough and they're not super tall, you can drive a fire truck right over that where it kind of straddles it so they can go through quickly.
So I know we're not approving speed bumps, but we are required to consider all the users of the roadway.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks for your report. I had just a few questions. So I saw that the applications from the Watermark Condo Association, and I didn't know, do you know, is that the sole association for the entire PUD, including the golf course and all the private roads in the PUD?
I am not sure.
We can ask the applicant.
Yep. It looks like this was generated based on a speed study. I mean, I think there's reference to it, a summary to it. Did you receive the speed study? It's not in our materials.
I thought I included a few pages from it,
Okay.
but if I didn't, I apologize. It should be.
Sorry.
And it wasn't I didn't include the full speed study. I included the addendum that I'm not sure why they created an addendum back in 1990, but.
Oh no, I meant like, if what we're saying here is that, like, I mean, your first statement, like speeding is an issue along Watermark Drive.
Right. Yes, that is as it has been conveyed to us. Speeding seems to be an issue.
All right. Yeah. And I know, like you're saying, well, we don't prohibit speed bumps, so like I don't think in my example, maybe there's a restrictive covenant that says we don't allow speed bumps, but like, we do speed studies in my neighborhood every single, like, it seems like constantly, because people think people drive too fast in the neighborhood, and if I wanted speed bumps in my neighborhood on a public road, I mean, I have to go to the road commission, right?
You would, yeah.
Okay.
It's a public
You
road.
won't allow.
All right.
Does anybody else, very good.
I'm good.
Does anybody else have any other questions for staff?
I do have several questions, but I don't know if it should be part of discussion.
And
All right.
it's for staff.
Yeah, I have, some questions, but they're probably more into discussion space than it is, what we're talking about right now, but there's a lot worth. I say they wanna have them where they're removable. Who's maintaining those, how they're gonna be removed, what happens if they break, all those kind of things.
Yeah.
That's discussion.
Yeah.
Part of discussion, so
Yeah.
I'm shutting down.
No, do you have anything for staff? I mean, you have any, you good? Okay, Robert, those are good questions. Yeah, okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, so this is the portion, we're gonna cut some ground rules real quick. Thank you for showing up. We don't usually have this big of a crowd, so thank you. It means a lot to us, because most of the time we're shooting in the dark, so thank you. In a minute here, I'm gonna ask to open it up to public hearing. My vice chair said I should give you guys 4 minutes to talk, right? Please talk to the board, don't talk to the audience, and let everybody just kind of, don't try not to interrupt everybody, keep it professional, all that good stuff, right? So, everybody good with that? And when you come up, just state your name and address for the record, okay? You can do timer, that would be great, yes. So I'm gonna make a motion to go to public hearing. Alright. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, so now we're open for public hearing, so if you'd like to come up to the mic. Oh no, wait a minute, we gotta hear from the applicant first. So I got a motion to close public hearing. This isn't my first. Yeah, I got excited because all you guys were here. Motion to close public hearing, do I have a second? Alright, all those in favor? Aye. Okay, I'd like to hear from the applicant. Is the applicant here? That would be the president or the HOA. Yeah. State your name and address for the record here.
Michael Berger, 2040 Watermark Drive.
Okay, Michael, you have more than 4 minutes, because we're gonna ask you questions too,
Okay.
okay?
Okay, well, on the board's application to revise Watermark's PUD ordinance by removing the prohibition of speed bumps, this is based on the following. Our review of all the listed, which you mentioned as well, all the listed PUDs have no such prohibition, so why would we? Fire department was consulted, we had our management company both consult with the township and the fire department to determine what speed bumps needed to be used and get their buy-in, and those are the ones that we have if this motion is approved. And it wasn't until the prohibition.
Can you push your button, so can you push
Is there a button on the mic?
Turn screen
On the
on.
mic, on the base of the mic?
Yeah,
Is it red?
yeah,
Now it's green, there we go.
Now it's green.
Now we can hear you.
okay, so start.
No, you're good.
Okay. It wasn't until the prohibition was discovered that the PUD was needed to make the application for this change. Our traffic is varied. It consists of residents, families of residents, guests, contractors, delivery vehicles, and a lot of cut-through traffic. We had gates installed, I want to say 2005 or so, and that cut down quite a bit of the cut-through traffic, but it still exists because our gates are open in the morning and the evening for rush hour traffic. We have very limited control, if any. We send communication to the residents about speeding. Their kids still speed. Their guests speed. I have to tell my own daughter when she comes to visit to slow down. It's an ongoing problem. As a board, we mentioned spending virtually every communication. We mentioned speeding in every communication to the residents. And with all the children living in Watermark, speeding is an even a bigger concern. This mention does not reach the others that contribute to the speeding problem. So we feel that speed bumps are probably a way to address it for everybody that comes into our neighborhood. We've had the sheriff provide digital speed bump signs or speeding signs that I think they put in the neighborhood for a week or 2 weeks, and they really weren't very effective. I mean, people would, golf carts would try and go above the, so they're there to make people aware that we have a speed limit, but then there needs to be a conscious decision to obey the speed limit. We've also periodically checked speeds with speed checking devices, and one of my colleagues will come up with his findings on that. We've already had one flipped car accident on our roadways, along with many near misses. Our board's motivation for this is purely safety. The truth be known, I don't like speed bumps either, but we don't have any, we haven't come up with an alternative that is better than speed bumps. And the fact that they're removable, it gives us a chance to maybe change some behavior when they come out for the winter, and then maybe, you know, we can make decisions down the road whether they have to be reinstalled. Basically, our motivation is to keep our roadways as safe as possible for everybody, and you know, this isn't an old people subdivision. We have lots of children, and they play in the street, they skateboard, they ride bicycles. Sometimes they're careless, sometimes they're not, and we can't have a car going 35 miles an hour down Watermark Drive and not expect a catastrophe to happen, if not now, when. So we appreciate the opportunity to speak in front of your commission, and thank you for considering our application.
Stay up here because we might have some questions for you. Okay. Since you're kind of the point person for, yeah. So the question, a couple of questions I have, the speed study. When was this conducted? What were the findings? How did you guys conduct this speed study? I mean, like some detail on that.
Well, a fellow board member has that information.
Okay, great.
He's going to speak.
Table that until he comes up, okay. And then a side question for staff. Are police able to give speeding tickets on private roads?
I don't know, but I don't think so.
Okay. Okay. Does anybody else? Have you guys looked at the I read in one of the emails that somebody suggested maybe some stop signs. Has that been thought, or?
We thought about it, but it didn't. You'd speed until you get to the stop sign. For example, if you come in off of Spalding, after you make the left turn, that's a perfect opportunity to get up to about 30, 35 miles an hour. There's nowhere to put a stop sign there.
Okay.
And on the Watermark part that goes towards Cascade, there might be a point or two to do that, but no, it hasn't been. It's been discussed, but not chosen as an alternative.
What kind of resident feedback did you guys get on? Sorry. What kind of resident feedback did you guys get on the speed bumps?
Some positive and some negative.
Can I ask one? May I ask where the rollover accident was on?
It was close to our Spalding entrance or exit. When they went around the corner on the straightaway, lost control and smashed into a tree, and well, our residents had children out playing at the time, so it was a pretty scary situation.
Is that at the south end of, just before you get to Spalding?
Yes.
That's almost at that. All right, thank you.
Thanks. You might have heard my question for staff. I was just, so you're here as a board member of Watermark Condo Association, and so is that the entire association for everything in the PUD, including the golf course and every private road, or?
Okay, it's good, but the golf course is totally separate. Within Watermark, we have 3 associations. We have the Watermark Condominium Association, and I'm not sure the names of the other 2, but they represent the other 2 types of housing, the club homes and the estate homes. We, as a board, have a joint board meeting where officers from those boards attend, and we voted as a joint board to enact this proposal. Our board controls, I think, 56 or 57% of the votes, but it wasn't right for us to ramrod it through. We brought all the other two boards in, we discussed it, and then had a vote that brought us here today.
All right, well, yeah, I appreciate that clarification. The certificate of the secretary authorizing the application, it doesn't seem to reflect what you just described to me at all. So, kind of fundamentally, I'll have a little bit of a problem. And so this was a joint board meeting where you issued this authorization to file the application?
Correct.
Okay, and...
Well, no, let me clarify that. It was a joint board meeting to authorize the use of speed bumps. We were ready to install them, and it was determined that this prohibition was in our PUD, so the plan to install them was put on hold, and we learned in order to make that happen, we had to file an amendment.
I don't know if this is a fair question for you or not, but what's your understanding of what the threshold would be for you to install speed bumps in your neighborhood in terms of approval by residents?
I'm not aware that there needs to be an approval.
Just the board?
Right.
Board can unilaterally do
Well,
it?
we're elected to make these types of decisions. I mean, people have their opinions, and we certainly will take them into consideration, but somebody has to make the decisions.
Yeah, no, I understand. All right, I don't have any questions.
That actually clarified what I was wondering, as far as what the next steps would be if we remove this language, so you don't go to a vote with all of the residents, just the board.
Throughout Watermark, are there pathways or sidewalks for non-vehicle use throughout?
There's sidewalks all the way from Cascade to Spalding.
Okay, and those can be used by bicycles, scooters, are there prohibitions?
Yeah, like, we would expect adults to ride the bikes in the street, but the kids are probably on the sidewalks.
Okay. Okay. Alright. Okay, can we speak to the board member that has the speed data?
Certainly.
Please, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Corey Kiefer, 2202 Watermark Drive.
So tell us about that. Do you have any opening statements that you want to?
No, I'm pretty much the data guy here. A little background. So the car that flipped was outside my home. So that kind of brought to light. This happened a couple years ago. We currently have a 6.5, 4.5 to 2-year-old. So we're busy. They play in the yard, things like that. So when this happened, is more or less when I really started to pay attention. And you can kind of eyeball it. I think people have brought up here today, like they look like they're speeding and everything like that. So I just went online and bought a Bushnell radar for $120 on Amazon and sit in my driveway and gun people, basically. So that's what I do. Sometimes my kids join and yell at people to slow down, sometimes I'm solo.
So you're the speed study.
I'm the guy. I do have the data here, so I pulled 50 from May and June of this year. So our average is exactly 28.5. Our max is 52, as mentioned. Our min was 14. 18% of the 50 studies were between 18 and 24 miles per hour. 64% or 32 of the 50 were between 25 and 34 miles per hour. And then 16% or 8 were 35 plus miles per hour.
That's 50 over what? Over
I would say 6 to 7 random days of the week. I do have to admit I try on Saturdays. That's when there's heavy traffic, but we're busy. I also have copies if anyone wants. I have 5 copies, so this with the pictures or anything else you might like as a reference point.
Is it? Yeah. Okay. Does anybody else have any other questions? No. All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks. Appreciate it. Okay. Now I'm going to make a motion to go to public hearing.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Now you get the opportunity to come up and.
That's a good point.
Is the applicant done? Yeah. Good call.
John Slaughter, 1763 Watermark Drive. I lived there for 23 years. I was unaware of the speed study being done, and I was not given notice that this was going to be subject of a board meeting. And we don't see the problem. We talk that every day, and we do not see the problem or the need for speed bumps. First of all, the speed limit of 18 miles an hour is arbitrary, and it does not comply with statute. In Michigan, statute is by the legislature, section 257.627. The statutory speed limit in a residential neighborhood is 25 miles an hour. And according to that statute, the speed limit can only be changed by an agency with authority to change that. So the statute applies. The speed limit is 25 miles an hour. Second of all, the statute, the Michigan Manual on Uniform Traffic Control Devices, says that speed limits must be, the signs must comply with very specific standards. There are no such signs in Watermark. There's no indication of what the speed limit is. There's a little, looks like a golf cart sign, like that, but that does not comply with the standards at all. Absent a posted speed limit, to the contrary, the default speed limit is the statutory limit of 25 miles per hour. Now, about speed bumps as a solution. According to the National Association of City Transportation Officials, speed bumps should be no more than 500 feet apart to achieve an 85 percentile speed of 25 to 35 miles per hour. The Federal Highway Administration recommends that speed bumps be between 250 and 500 feet apart to achieve an 85 percentile speed of 25 to 35 miles per hour. We're already within that limit at 29 miles per hour and even lower in most cases if the speed study is to be taken as having, incredible. So Watermark Drive is 5,200 feet long. We would need 10 speed bumps in order to achieve the 85% compliance with a 25 to 35 mile an hour speed limit. That's an excessive number of speed bumps. Having a smaller amount is not going to achieve the effect we want, and we're already in mostly compliance with the speed limit targets if the average speed is in fact 28.5 miles an hour. It's completely unwarranted. Also, the Federal Highway Administration talks about in their study the effect on emergency vehicles, and especially ambulances. And it indicated that ambulance response time can be reduced by as much as 10% per speed bump. It also reduces police, and it also reduces fire. Especially ambulances, though, and there's somebody inside the ambulance, it slows down the amount of time it takes them to get out to bring people away. So there is, in fact, a safety issue at cause here. And I'd just like to point out that this was done without input from the residents. We were not consulted. We were not asked for our feedback. We found out about this when we read the announcement that the board had already made this decision. So we would ask, we would like to see a chance for us to have some deliberation amongst ourselves and to figure out what we want to do as an association, which I know can still happen, but the board's already decided to do the speed bumps. So if this board takes the prohibition away, we will have speed bumps. And it's just unfortunate that our residents be put at risk in terms of response time from emergency vehicles without proper input from the residents. Yeah, any questions, or I have copies of some of these studies if you'd like to see them.
You mentioned the 25 mile per hour speed limit and signs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you recommending that be considered? It seemed like you were alluding to that.
I have recommended it at board meetings in the past, and that was not followed. Also, it is required by statute that speed bumps be identified by a sign. So if they're going to put speed bumps in, they need to add a sign that says there's a speed bump there, and it needs to comply with these standards. It can't be another hand-painted wooden sign designed for golf carts.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I just have an easy one, I think.
We're not supposed to be asking public comment questions.
We can.
Okay, because, he's got his study, but I was just curious, he brought up that his HOAs is the ones who brought up the idea of putting the speed bumps in, and that's why we're here. Is it true that no notice went out to all the residents that this was going to happen before it became this point?
I did not see any notice at all. I want to say we're very grateful to our board. They do an excellent job, and we really do appreciate their efforts. We just disagree with them on this one particular point. So we don't have a dissatisfaction with our board in general, but we'd really rather not see the speed bumps go.
All right, thank you. Come on.
Cynthia Athendulis and 5361 Prairie Home Drive. Watermark is a very unusual community because we have 3 associations that all reside within the development. I have been on the board of my association pretty much every year except for 2, and that's been over 20 years. When I moved into the neighborhood, most of the back end of the property was not there. Phase 3 was never done. The property today is extremely different. We have children where we never had children. We have families, we have elderly people. I think what's interesting is people want to talk about the speed bumps, but really what we're asking for is literally just the lifting of that prohibition so that the organizations within the community can come together. It is a mistake to say the residents were not notified. The boards were all notified. We notified our residents. I can tell you that often what we find is even though we have communicated with our residents, they maybe weren't paying attention. But this is something that has been discussed and residents were told about this. And if they had issues, they were supposed to go to their boards, and then those boards come together with the joint board who have to make decisions. We do have stop signs within the neighborhood. There are stop signs throughout the neighborhood. I am on the corner of Watermark Drive and Prairie Home Drive. There's a stop sign there, no one stops. So unfortunately, that's why this idea of putting stop signs in was considered, but it hasn't been effective with the ones that are there. I think it is, most of us understand that who loves speed bumps? No one does. But when I sit and look out on my front yard, I mean, literally crossing to my neighbors, there are people going 45 miles an hour constantly, and it's not just them, it's also delivery trucks, it's contractors. I think, and you have children who are driving, golf carts around too. Sometimes these are like 14, 15, 16-year-old kids. So there is a safety issue. And whether we like it or not, it's not a question of if, it's a question of when we are going to have another tragedy, like the flipping over of the cars. I guess my question to all of you is given what your charge is, whether or not we're not asking you to decide speed bumps, not speed bumps, we're asking for something fairly simple, which is taking away that prohibition so that the associations can, if they feel like they have to have more discussion, we certainly should do that. But I think we should do that as a neighborhood. Okay, and thank you for your time, we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Although I love you guys raising your hand, you don't have to do that. You can just come on up. That's fine.
Just use the school. Lori Bass. I live at 1825 Watermark Drive. I have lived there since 2007. Raised my kids there. My husband Daniel and I both oppose the speed bump, or the removal of the prohibition from the amendment. If you've been on Watermark Drive, first of all, I run, I walk, I bike there every single day. You'll see me out there every morning doing one of those 3 things. And I have never, ever felt unsafe on that street, not once. The street, since I've lived there, has now have gates. The gates are closed most of the day. The gates are opened in the morning for the bus and in the late afternoon for the bus and as I understand it, on Sundays for open houses in the afternoon. So most of the time, through traffic is cut out. The street is narrow, so anytime somebody has a guest or a contractor, they're parking on the streets. We try to get, tell your people, guests, to stay on one side of the street. They don't. There's a lot of negotiation. It slows down traffic from people trying to get through automatically because the street is so narrow. And I'm thinking, why was this prohibition put in place? Watermark's a unique community. It's large. There's 4 to 5 curves along that stretch. I live probably 3/4 of a mile from the Spalding Gate. I'd say between there and my house, there's probably 4 curves, of which I'm not great with math, but probably around 90 degrees. That automatically slows traffic down. We have a golf course there. When they talk about 98 other PUDs in this township don't have that prohibition, has anybody looked? Is there another one with a golf course? We have standalone condominiums. We have apartment style buildings. So it's unique. The golf course uses it. So there's golf course workers, maintenance workers, golf course people using, because we don't have just sidewalks. We also have cart paths going through the neighborhood. So I don't know if any of you have been there, but it's both. And as I understand, the PUD also includes the golf course. So I don't know why, or I didn't see their name on the list of addresses that were informed of this amendment. So I don't know if the golf course had a chance to speak, because they have a lot of expensive equipment going through that neighborhood that they use on a daily basis. I was aware that in 2022, the car flipped. No one knows why the car flipped. Maybe she hit the gas instead of the brake. Who knows? But for one incident since I've been there, which is going on close to 17 years, we're going to change this amendment. When this slows down, as we've discussed, emergency vehicles. So what's more likely to happen on Watermark Drive? There's cardiac arrests, strokes, accidents. We've had painters fall off ladders. I myself was over at a neighbor's house. There was a life-threatening incident. We had to call an ambulance. Those are the most likely things to happen. Not accidents. There's been one. So I think that, there should be some consideration for how the street is used and how emergency vehicles, and not just fire trucks, but EMS needs to respond. I did not hear about the speed bumps. I was not informed. I read all the emails, information that is sent to me. There was information that was sent to us about speed bumps that were going to be put in, installed. So we got a note, I think, on an email on Friday evening. I knew, because I've read the PUD ordinance, that they're not allowed. So I did contact the township by Monday morning, and that was stopped. And then we then received this information that they want to install the speed bumps and change the ordinance. So I had a lot of questions, but some of them, and I wrote a note that was submitted, and I don't want to read the whole entire thing because I know you guys can read yourselves. But did the golf course receive notifications of this amendment since they use the property and the roads? Where is an engineering study of traffic patterns and concerns? I agree with some of the comments that were made that an average speed in a residential neighborhood is 25. If most people are going 25 to 28 miles an hour, I think that most people are in compliance with that sort of speed limitation. And then I know this board is only responsible for allowing the PUD to be amended, but if that's amended, that opens the door wide open. So what size, what type, how many, where will they be placed? What are the abatement procedures for noise in the areas? Who will install and remove them? What costs are associated with
That's your time.
damage?
Sorry.
Okay,
4 minutes.
thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, that's good. Thank you.
Any questions?
Any questions? No.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hello, John Kendall, 2201 Watermark Drive. So I am the first house when you go back off of Spalding. Been there 23 years. The accident in question was a person that lived there. She was in the condos. So she was going fast like a lot of people do. I don't have young kids anymore. I did originally when I was the forefront to get the gates in. I know people keep talking about the emergency vehicles, but we have gates, so they're going to have to stop at the gates anyway. And of course, which somebody had said, I think you had said earlier, when you can place them so the vehicles can get through. Again, we're just asking for you guys to get rid of that so we can do it as as a community, and I think we can vote on it. So that's all we're doing. But if I hear that people revving their engines all the time there. I'm like right there in the front, right across from Corey. If people haven't seen people speed there, I think, I don't know what they're looking at or anything like that, but that's all I would ask is if you can let us decide it as a group. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sharon Stadler. I live at 1901 Watermark Drive. Lived there 20 years. Raised my kids there. they made it through all fine. I wanted to talk about the PUD part of it. I wanted to acknowledge the fact that I believe ours is the only PUD that includes a golf course and private roads. There's another PUD that it does have a golf course, but it's public roads and 5 houses. So it's quite unique in that way. And to change a PUD just because of unique language seems a bit ridiculous to me because there are many PUDs there. There's one, Tall Pines across the street. They have things about farm use and land use for farms. And we don't have that. So do they have to get rid of that because of that language being in there? That part didn't make sense to me. I have a question for you. I understand with the new zoning laws that have gone into effect, that if we do amend our PUD, we will have to make sure our neighborhood is compliant with the new zoning. And I wanted to know if that would mean we would have to make any other changes.
Do you want to answer that? That's a good question.
Yeah, so the new zoning doesn't affect existing PUDs. So a PUD is like, sorry, this is very, okay. A PUD is essentially your own bespoke zoning ordinance for a given area. So the PUD here is your zoning.
Okay, I thought when I read the new zoning laws, it said that the PUDs would stay in effect, but if there was an amendment made to it, then the entire neighborhood had to be the PUD would remain in effect, but the neighborhood had to be compliant to the current zoning.
Doesn't it based on application too? Their application was received prior to the new zoning.
I'm not sure if that has any effect, and I'm not sure what language you're talking about in the new zoning ordinance.
I don't remember that either.
Yeah.
That's a good question. We can get back to you on
Okay.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was when I was trying to figure out the whole vote
It's
thing.
my
I saw
understanding
that
any
in
new
the
development would fall under the new zoning rules. Any of the current development falls under the existing PUDs. There could still be changes made to those existing PUDs, but if you're going for a whole new development, then it would fall under the new zoning. That's my.
Can you ask Nick if our attorney's on?
Nick is our attorney on. No. Okay.
Okay.
We'll get back
Thank
to
you.
you.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. I'd have to reread them.
Hi, Heidi Herbrook, 5380 T17 Court. We are new to the neighborhood, and I keep up on what is sent to us from the board. We had no idea, as I don't remember her name, but as she stated, that we got an email, and I have it in my hand right here. And it was sent on a Friday informing us that Monday they were putting in the speed bumps. And if they had let us know, I'm sure more than just one person would have been calling the township to let you know. So just feel like they were trying to pull one over our eyes. So just wanted to let you know that. So if in fact, you do pass this, we will get speed bumps. Because if they don't have to come to us as residents, then it's going to be done. So, and there will be a lot of people that are not happy that are living there. I'm afraid that our property values will go down too. So, okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Leo Ditch Creek, 1712 Watermark Drive. I address this commission here on the issue of the speed bumps. We had every intent, I'm a board member as well, of installing speed bumps for calming these speeds down. We consulted, we've been working with the township, also working with the fire department on getting speed bumps installed. The township fire department, as you may know, already has guidelines out there for speed humps. And we had communicated with the fire chief, or at least our management company did, about installation of that, getting the specific size. And we had some bumps already picked out. The fire chief, as a matter of fact, approved those, as well as the township. It was unfortunate we did not realize that the PUD had a prohibition on speed bumps. The only PUD in township that we know of that has that prohibition. And that's what stopped the whole thing. When we found that out, that's when we had to put a stop to the planning of installing the speed bumps and go back to the drawing board of getting this amended and getting that prohibition to be removed. We've seen in a lot of cases, I think you saw the case with the flip vehicle, and yes, that was one incident. I personally have seen issues where cars will be speeding along. I myself, driving along Watermark Drive, will notice a ball coming out into the street, and here's a 5-year-old running after the ball. If I wasn't going 18 miles an hour, it would be a very different story. So again, from our perspective, from the board's perspective, we're interested in safety. Again, you're going to have a lot of people. I personally do not have any children. Yeah, and I personally probably don't like speed bumps, but I will tolerate them if it protects my neighbor's kids and everybody else in the neighborhood. Thank you.
I do have a question for you. You're a board member.
Yes.
How many times did you guys reach out to the other people in the development to let them know that you were going to be having a discussion about it?
I think we've been talking about it and not only in our annual meetings. We haven't taken a survey. As you probably are aware, if we do that, we're going to get 50% in favor and 50% against. And again, we're looking at it strictly from not a popularity viewpoint, but more of a safety issue within our neighborhood. Safety to us is probably the most important thing. Trying everything we can from electronic signs just hasn't been effective. And we think that this is the next, as somebody pointed out, is the next effective and efficient way we can possibly calm the speeds down a little bit within our neighborhood.
Okay, thank you.
Good evening. My name is Gerard Hickey, 2019 Craftsman Court. Just as a point of information, I am a board member of the Watermark Club Homes. I'm here just to address what you're supposed to be charged with tonight, and that is whether or not we can remove that language from the PUD. It's part of the CCNR language that everybody buys into when they bought into Watermark. And for you to be able to just delete that is something, it's not up to you. We are owners of that property, and we have to abide by the rules and regulations that we accepted as being a member there. So my proposal would be is that this would have to be presented to the whole membership for a discussion whether or not we want to remove this phrase from the CCNRs. I understand that if it is removed, that the board can do whatever they want. But the point is, and the point I think that you're charged with tonight, is whether or not we should be able to eliminate that from the CCNRs. And I don't think that that should be done without the membership's consultation and a vote, as they would if they wanted to change anything else in the CCRs. And if you look, I think it's about a 60% approval rate if they want to change something major in the CCNRs. And if this is a part of it, I think that they would be subject to it. So my point is that, yes, we can talk all we want about putting in speed bumps, but whether or not what you are charged with tonight is something that should be approved. That's where I'll leave it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Alex Dianker. I live at 1820 Watermark, and I'm also on the board. And I just want to emphasize, to me, the issue before you is whether we have this provision or not in the ordinance. I've been on the board off and on for 6 years. The pros and cons are all over the map. You are like at a meeting that we would have, but that's not what you're being asked to do. You're not being asked to take our role. Our role as a board is to use our fiduciary duty and do what we think is best for the development. What if 100% of the people wanted to have speed bumps? We couldn't do it with this prohibition in our ordinance. So the issue is, give it back to the community. There's been some criticism of us. I understand that. I don't agree with it all. But we're not permanent members of that organization. They can vote and have a different board in. By the way, the speed bumps we're talking about can be taken out and put back in. And if a new board comes in and they don't want it, then fine. Then the owners have spoken. So far, they've spoken. They've elected us, and we've decided it's best, on our view, for the good of all the organizations in there, all the associations, they have speed bumps. Let's try it. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. We'll take them out. All we're asking you is get rid of the prohibition and allow the community then to go forward and decide what it wants to do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi there, John Clark, 940 Monroe. I don't live in Cascade Township. Can I still talk?
Sure.
All right, I love it. So I own Acacia Group, and we manage all three of the condo associations in the development, and we manage a bunch other in Cascade Township, Ada Township, Grand Rapids Township. And in our profession, we get two complaints, and it's speeding in our neighborhoods, and it's leaving trash cans out. And dog waste. So we have three. That's what I deal with every day. So speeding is the big one. And in all of our associations, we've tried lots of things: cameras, speed bumps, shaming people on Facebook, which is a lot of fun. That gets ugly real fast. The boards have talked about cameras for years. Cameras are like 10 to 20 grand, and then somebody's got to monitor them. And then the board doesn't have the ability to like fine anybody with a ticket for speeding. So really, from a management standpoint, speed bumps we found have been really good. We've put them in Cascade Lakes. We put them in Cascade Point. There was a question about, well, what happens when they break? Who's going to put them in? Well, us as the management company, we put them in. If they break, the association knows that they own that asset, so they replace it on their dime. And to a couple other board members' points, if they don't work out, they're removable. And when we take them out in the winter, which they do get taken out every winter so the roads can be plowed, we use a caulk adhesive that we fill the holes with so it doesn't deteriorate the road. Our company stores them for free on behalf of the association. So I think it's a really good idea to allow speed bumps. At the very least, try them, see if it works. The positions might not be the best. There might need to be less, there might need to be more, but I think at least opening it up for the ability for the boards and the association to make that determination would be in everybody's best interest.
Since our attorney's not here to ask, I'm hoping you can answer this question.
I'm also not an attorney.
But I'm hoping you understand, since you manage all three associations, who has the ability to make the request to the township to change their PUD? I've heard from board members saying they have the ability as board members to request a change. And I've heard from somebody else saying that there has to be a 60% majority of the residents within the community.
So my understanding is that the joint board, there's a split ownership that's like 57%, 36%, and 7%. Those three have to get together and come up with an approval before anything's submitted to you folks. I don't think it needs that 2/3 majority of all of the neighborhood to vote on it. My understanding would be that the joint board, as long as they've come to this conclusion, had the ability to submit the application.
That's my biggest question. Like the legality of it is who has the right. I understand people are not happy and I'm not trying to be rude. I don't live in Watermark, so my voice in that piece of it doesn't really matter what I would want if I lived there. But the question as a board, what we look at is what legally, who has the right to come to us and ask us for this change on behalf of the community?
I believe they followed the right protocol based on the structure that's in place at the moment.
All right, can you describe for me the structure? There's 3 associations, and what are their names?
The Watermark Condominium Association, the Watermark Estate Homes, and the Watermark Club Homes.
Okay, and the application was submitted just on behalf of the, I'll tell you,
Watermark Condominium Association.
So that's one of the 3 submitted the application.
Correct.
Asking for an amendment that affects all 3.
But that's the 57% one, right?
Correct.
So they have weeded. I didn't make up the rules. I'm just trying to.
Yeah. So
Mr. Chair, I may hopefully clarify this. It's very common in condominiums that they have multiple associations, and then there typically is a master association or they call the joint board, and the joint board does have responsibility for the common elements like roads, because they obviously traverse through the development. And so it would be appropriate for the joint board to do that. Now, that being said, now they would not have to have a 2/3 vote. Typically, for example, that or 60%, that's often to amend the master deed and bylaws. So we have not reviewed those documents as part of this. But and I know it was mentioned that someone thought it was, speed bumps were in there. It's not necessarily true. I mean, the speed bumps are not always, listed as a condition of the master deed and bylaws, but it would be, just to clarify, the master association would represent all 3, and they are responsible for the common elements like the roads.
And requesting a PUD.
Dan, so you have the application in front of you. Is there anything that you see in the application that would tell you that was submitted by a joint board?
Again, I have not reviewed the master deed and bylaws, and so I don't know what the name of the master board or the joint board is.
Okay,
that would be the
would
be the entity.
So you're saying at the staff level threshold inquiry, you staff can tell us that this applicant has the authority to request this.
I'd have to review the master deed and bylaws, which we have not done.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Because
I can't, like I said, then there's like a consent resolution that's attached. It doesn't say that anything. It doesn't say anything about joint approval, joint meeting, anything. All right. Thanks.
Thank you. Do you have a question? I'm sorry.
Just based on what you said, you mentioned 2 other associations that had the speed bumps. How many homes are in each?
Cascade Lakes, I think, has 80. That's pretty close to Watermark. And Cascade Point has, I believe, 30.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thanks.
I have a quick question though. As you know, when you sign bylaws on the HOA, well, I don't know. I think you could probably.
Might be staff.
Yeah. No, I don't know.
Are you?
No.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm just using him because he's familiar a little bit. When the residents sign these agreements, do you know that in the agreements they know what they're signing? So they say, "Hey, no swimming pools, no this, that." Do they have to give approval to have it changed as a majority instead of saying this this PDS, that they have to sign off on it first and approve it as a majority before they can make a change.
So that's, if you're asking like a master deed change question, if it's going to be a material change, then oftentimes the master deed requires 2/3 of the ownership to vote and approve that. This isn't a change to the master deed. I'm not sure if I'm answering your question. This is outside of that. So again, I don't think it requires the membership to do a 2/3 vote in order to approve some amendment. This is us coming to the township to ask for the ordinance to change.
They're not asking you to change their rules. They're asking you to change our rules.
If we want to change our rules, then I think we need 2/3 if it's a material change.
Yeah. Thank you. I've been seeing a lot of arm signals back there.
Yeah.
Put it to words.
Hi, my name is Ed Young. I live on 5390 Brassy Court. And I am privileged to live, my front porch is 50 feet off Watermark Drive. And we spend the whole summer sitting out there. And so I think the homeowners board is kind of getting ahead of their skis to some extent. Most of this is anecdotal evidence. There's some kind of unofficial speed studies. I don't think there's been a true traffic study in Watermark. I stopped by the planning office today and I have a map of the proposed speed bumps. I'm not sure who decided where those speed bumps were going, but there's 4 of them. 2 out of 4 make some sense because they're on straightaways. But some of them are in really congested areas where people really can't build up speed anyway. So I just think that there was no notification. I'm part of the homeowners association, and I pay attention. I go to the annual meetings. They first started talking about speed bumps at the last annual meeting, like it was going to happen this week or next week. And then all of a sudden we get this notice, well, the speed bumps are on hold. I know very few people in Watermark knew about this PUD. Very few. I certainly didn't, and I'm one of the original board members. I was the original board member back in the early 2000s that helped put in the gates. So there was very little notification. So I just think we need to sit back and think about this a little bit more. Thank you.
Thank you. Going once, going twice.
Mr. Chair, I did a little, oh, sorry.
Can I say something again? I just have a
Sure.
question.
Yeah, question.
Do you have the map that he's talking about?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because on the longest straightaway, there's only one. So just wanted to make sure you had that.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, I get a couple clarifications, hopefully, able to read the sections of the Michigan Vehicle Code and Michigan Uniform Traffic Code, and so speed limits can only be enforced if the road is open to the general public and is appropriately signed. So in this case, I don't believe they'd be able to, enforce speed limit. So that they also read the Zoning Enabling Act. I didn't see anything in there that would or require any other changes based on just this amendment bringing forward. So, and then finally, obviously any action taken by this board would not change their master deed bylaws. It would be up to them to make those amendments if they so choose.
And because it's a private road, they can dictate what the speed limit is. It doesn't go based on state,
Correct.
right?
Yeah.
State regulations.
But for police officers to enforce it, it would have to comply with the state regulations.
Okay. Okay. All right. Anybody else? Public comment? All right, I'm going to make a motion to close public comment.
Is there anybody online? Okay. Sorry.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Well, first off, thank you everybody for coming. It's never easy. Never easy ones. And while I understand and appreciate, we're going to talk some more, but I'm just going to say, I get it, right? I mean, I'm constantly, my kids are older now, but I used to yell at people running through Beard Farm all the time and speed. I know it's an issue, and I understand. We have to look at the township, right? Not just an individual neighborhood. I'm going to say that my concern is, you know, if we let this happen, then tomorrow some neighborhood's going to say, well, we want 8-foot fences. You know, we want barbed wire. We want whatever, right? I think I'm a little concerned that I don't feel like the other residents had an opportunity to voice their opinion, and you know, we just got hammered on that here in the Cascade Township with all the PUD ordinance changes. Even though we had multiple outreaches, right? That's a concern for me. I mean, I understand what they're saying, and I don't disagree with it, but I don't know. I don't know. I just have some concerns. So, jump in, whomever. Jump.
All right, I'll go. So thanks. You know, I appreciate that. Thanks everybody for coming too. It makes it kind of challenging for us sometimes, but it's nice to hear from everybody. And I just want to say too, I hear everybody here. I understand the difficulties of boards trying to get things done. That's an issue I encounter all the time. I understand residents with kids and speeding cars. I understand safety. I mean, just saying this is a safety concern. I get it. I'm probably going to be a no here. And this is hard for me too, because I'm in favor of property rights. And when I hear somebody come up and say like, let's just handle this as a board, let's handle this as a community, we just want you to get out of our way. You know, that speaks to me also. I have some concerns on the face of the application. I couldn't get confirmation from staff. This is submitted by one association. People are telling me they're the controlling association perhaps, but there are 3. They're asking this to be stripped from the entire PUD, which, as I understand it, again, just from comments today, that will affect more than the applicant association, even if they might be controlling. I don't know that. I also am just a little bit, so staff posed this, I think, as a thought-provoking question, is, well, that we should consider if there's a compelling reason to keep this prohibition. I don't agree with that, is what our charge is today. Why isn't it? Is there a compelling reason to remove it? That's not what our ordinance says. These coming to us on PUD reviews, it's kind of a weird standard, really, but it was approved by the township. They said that it met the safety standards when they put this prohibition in there. And to me, at least I think there has to be some kind of somewhat high burden to remove it, because it is part of the ordinance. It's part of the public record. Everybody who bought in here saw that this existed. And to come to us and just say, based on a statement that speeding is an issue along Watermark Drive, which sounds kind of like anecdotal evidence to me, not a statement of fact, that we should just vote to remove something that was in place in 1990 in every amendment since. I don't know. I don't feel right about it based on the record before us. So that's kind of how I'm looking at it again. To hear all the concerns.
I feel like I have a lot of things. One, I think my main concern is just wondering who has the right to come here and ask us if they want this. And based on that, I feel like it should be postponed, our decision, until we get that information and that staff has the ability to dig in, or legal counsel has the ability to dig in. Because in my opinion, if it is all 3 boards and all 3 boards come to us with a statement saying that they all have agreed to that, then that's part of living in that society is you have a board that's making those choices for you and they're coming and asking, and then they can kind of talk amongst themselves to decide if they really want to put them in or not put them in. I think that's my biggest concern is just making sure, because we don't have a statement from all three boards, we're being told one has a majority rule over it, but we don't know because we haven't looked into that. I think that I feel that we can't make a decision based on that and that it should be postponed until we get that piece of it. And then some sort of a notice from all three boards officially that they all three are recommending this change. And then it would be kind of a different thought process for me.
Okay. Sure.
Well, I want to say we know that private roads are a problem in Cascade. And the new zoning hopefully will alleviate that, but that doesn't help all of you. But I also think that we're not quite ready. We don't have quite enough information to approve this.
Okay. Do you have something else?
Yeah, I was just going to say, Wendy, that I agree with what you're saying. I have that same concern, but just for the record, I'm not sure if you went so far as to say this, but I would disagree if you're saying, well, if all three come to us, well, then they have a right. I mean, essentially just to dictate that we change the PUD, like that's not the standard. Like, just if you're the owner of the PUD, you can't come to us and say you have to change this because we say we have the authority. I mean, that's definitely not our standard.
Right, but I haven't heard compelling reason either why. I mean, if other private roads have them within the community, I don't understand why we would tell one you can't have that. If the authorities within that PUD come to us and said they want them, why would we deny that if we allow it in other PUDs?
No, I understand that.
And that's the point. Like if we didn't have any speed bumps in any PUD within the community, then that would be different. We could say, no, maybe our fire department doesn't want them, or the answers somebody doesn't want them. But knowing they're in other PUDs, if whoever the powers that be within Watermark that can make these requests and legally have the ability to make these changes, which that's not my decision to make. That's part of the makeup of the Watermark Association. If they come to us and want this, I don't know how we could say no if other PUDs within the community has it. That's all I'm saying. But right now, I don't know who has the ability to ask us that. And I think we need that answer before we can move forward any further.
I agree with that, but also I think it's community by community specific. Can you refresh my memory as to the first consideration, the wording of it? The second one was related to safety, but the first one was important as well.
Are you talking? You're not talking about these considerations, are you?
factors.
Or are you the two factors in the PUD? I don't think I have those here. Let me read them off.
Sorry, I think there's somewhere in here.
I thought it was in here too. Yeah.
Yeah, it's in the staff.
No, it's not in the staff. No, it's not.
It's like the standard of approval and staff
Standard for review.
Yeah, the site circulation and parking areas must be designed to ensure safety and convenience for vehicular and pedestrian traffic.
So the site circulation, I think, could vary from community to community. So I think that even if we were to receive that, that's a factor that we have to consider, because that would be different based on each community.
Robert, this is your chance to.
No, the only, excuse me, I'm sorry. Knowing what the bylaws are, is the bylaws changed by the community itself or only by the board? And I know when I signed our bylaws, it says everything in there, but if you had to change the bylaw, it had to be approved by a majority in the actual neighborhood. So if you have three of them and only one of them brought it up, the other ones don't even know anything about it. So I agree with Wendy and with Scott and you that we should wait and have more discussion on this and have them come back with a better plan than what was just thrown in front of us.
Yeah, I applaud you buying the radar detector. What a great idea, and that's great. I just, I don't know. I'd like to hear from, and I get being on a board. I understand what you guys are doing. It's difficult because part of me feels like you guys are trying to get, all of me feels you guys are trying to do the right thing, but I also feel like maybe you're not listening to the people that you're representing, right? And, or maybe you haven't given them the chance to, have a discussion. And maybe I'm saying that and thinking that because we just went through a big battle with changing all the ordinances here in Cascade. And again, we did reach out multiple times to the public and had public input, and we still had a battle. And maybe I'm getting this wrong, but I don't feel like you guys reached out to the rest of the residents, and that bothers me a little bit, right? So, I mean, I'm okay tabling it. I mean, that's not what I was thinking, but I'm okay tabling it to give you guys an opportunity to circle the wagons and see if you can get more input from your residents. And as it sits right now, I don't support it. So
I'm gonna ask a question, stupid question. Do you guys an HOA or a you're trying to amend a PUD as an HOA, correct?
Correct.
You need to vote on it as an HOA and bring it to us with an approved. It's got to be approved by the board. That's the only way you can amend a PUD.
Mr. Chair, may I clarify?
Yeah.
What, but you didn't notify anybody. Where's the vote? It's got to be a homeowner. The homeowners have to vote on it, not the board. Here's the homeowners association. If a development has been handed over to a community, major changes to common areas or neighborhood rules usually require a vote and request by the HOA homeowners.
Mr. Chair, may I?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
I think to clarify, we're talking about two different things. What's being presented tonight is the PUD ordinance that was passed in 1990, right? And so that can change. That does not change their master deed or bylaws. They would have to take separate action to do that. So it's two separate things. This would simply allow them, if they so chose, again, we haven't reviewed the master deed bylaws. I don't know if speed bumps are ever contemplated even in that document. But it would still leave it up to the board to make that decision based on their input from their residents.
Okay. I mean, do you guys want to table it for 30 or 60 days? Are you ready?
I prefer to wait. I don't feel like I have enough information to know if this is something we can even consider to vote yes on.
I have a question. If we vote and it is not approved, does that preclude a later application?
They would have to pay for a secondary.
Okay.
Okay. I put it postponing. It allows them to get together what they need to get and bring it back to us with the additional information we're asking versus them having to reapply.
Can I ask a question? Specifically, what information do you want? We did vote as a joint board.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the president of the Estate Homes Board and have been since 2003. And we did vote as a joint board to approve.
I think that attestation within our packet is just from the one board.
It is.
Yeah. So I think that.
And the reason that's the way it is because the homeowner association, which is the single family homes, is usually the point person. So they're the ones that deal with repaving the roads. They were the ones that were dealing with the gates and the management of all that, the installation. They're the ones that deal with most of our management, who you had up there a little bit earlier, John Clark. We did vote.
Okay. So,
and notice did go out.
So, Michael, I appreciate that, but you guys, it's also, there's a threshold, the threshold question is, does the applicant have the authority to ask for this? I understand what you're telling me, but it's not in the materials that we received. In fact, I don't know who you had prepared your resolution, your board resolution, which was attached to our documents, which is the one document which would show that you have the authority, and it doesn't. It says that it's one board that's submitting it. And so that's why we have a question.
I guess I would. I'm just counting to 10. I guess I would say if you guys have nothing else to submit, then we can just vote on it now.
I don't know what you want us to submit.
I giving you guys an opportunity to.
I think that's a fair question. Continue. Just clarify what you're saying.
Well, I mean, I would like to see. I'd like to see the residents hold.
Well, I don't. Yeah, I want to see the documents that just say that you have that ability and the information from all of the boards. So
we would have
right.
We would verify that.
And the legal documents that would tell us they have the ability to make those requests. I think that's, we don't. And I think what Alan is saying is that we can wait and postpone this for you to bring that to us, or we can make a vote now, not with the information we have, which would change personally what I would vote for, because if I don't have the information, I can't say yes.
Need more information. I think that's a perfectly fair request, that we can provide you that additional information, including the legal stuff.
Okay.
So, yeah. So does anybody have any other internal conversation? So does I'll make a motion to table this, postpone. I got to get back to the front page to see what it is. Postpone or table?
Don't use the word table, please.
Okay. I'll make a motion to postpone case number 263924 until additional documentation is submitted with the minutes and the legal documentation showing that the Watermark Condominium Association has the authority to bring this to the board. How long we postpone it?
Let's do 60 days. That's
60 days. 60 days. Is that enough? Okay. 60 days. So we would put this
60.
Max of 60 days. Maximum of 60 days. So you guys could submit earlier. Is that good? Anybody want to add anything to it?
No.
Okay. Anybody support? A second?
I'll support.
Did you want to add something?
Yeah, I was going to see if we could. I think it would help to have some others. Like, so I would like, so what you said, I'd like though, if you, when you submit your materials, if you could identify whatever provision you say authorizes the boards without a vote of the co-owners to alter the common road infrastructure. And I would like just the question answered in the materials submitted, whether the owners were given notice and an opportunity to vote. Okay. And I get it. If you're going to say they don't have to, then just explain to me why they don't.
Okay. So motion to postpone case number 263924 for up to a maximum of 60 days. So that they can provide additional documentation of the minutes and the legal documents showing that they have the authority to represent, that they have the authority to make a recommendation, and to show any documentation, if any, that they did reach out to their fellow residents. Is that good?
Yep. I support.
Okay. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. And thank your board members, because guys, this isn't easy to what we do up here. So thank your board members.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. I'll just give them.
No.
Hey, if you guys can bring it outside. We're still in session, so if you guys can bring it outside, that'd be great. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. What? I know Grace is like.
Watch it. The little one, the handle will fall off. So you better watch it. She almost hit me.
I told him to do it.
I think I made our new planning director jump when I did that too.
It was all Dan. It was all Dan's fault.
So, all right. Article 8, acknowledge visitors and those wishing to speak. Anybody online? Okay. Article 9, other business. I'd like to thank everybody for voting. I don't care how you voted, but if you voted, thank you for voting. And I believe, talking to Wendy, that the new PD ordinances went into effect, I think the next day. So, the new
zoning.
PUD ordinances, the zoning ordinances, I'm sorry, new zoning ordinances.
Which will prevent problems like
Yes.
We can only hope.
So,
If not, take notes and bring them to us.
yes. So thank you for everything. Does anybody else have any other business?
I just have one thing.
Yeah.
Just with the new zoning, just that I'm excited that we have some fresh eyes that are looking at it, and I think as a planning commission as well, because it was reorganized along with some things that were changed, that if anything comes up during our meetings that we do want to be addressed, just to make notes with Dan, and so that those things can be looked at if there is anything that might need some adjusting in the future. And if so, those changes would come back to us as a planning commission to make recommendations to the board, which I think is the appropriate way for things to happen. And I just want to stress that is part of the planning commission's job, is to make any of those recommended changes or amendments in the future to that, to bring forward to the board. So I just think that's an important point. I know when we had the old one, we would always have the planning director make notes that needs to be changed.
Yes.
Look at that in the new zoning.
Yeah.
So I don't think that needs to end. I think that it's
Agree.
Something that if things come up that we think seem weird or don't seem right, it's things that we need to bring forward. So,
And if you have questions, Wendy, Grace, and I were part of the team that kind of redid those. The McKenna guys are gone now. The ones that were in the arrange are they're moved on to a different project.
Chris left us.
Yeah. And then so
I made the same request of staff as to make notes, and then as we see issues, maybe administering the ordinance, we can bring those forward to you and suggest some potential amendments. But yeah, I think we'll do that as maybe a quarterly check-in or something of that nature.
That'd be great. Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
What's that?
prevention of problems.
Prevention of problems.
Exactly.
Yes. So any other business? All right. Article 10, meeting adjourned.